Welcome back to our Godzilla Marathon. We watched TriStar's Roland Emmerich's Godzilla from 1998.
He looks angry.
Roland Emmerich's Godzilla is a reimagining of the 1954 Godzilla movie, starring this time Matthew Broderick in the leading role as
Milo Totopoulos or something.
Milo Totopoulos.
Come on, let us go. Come on.
And the joke is that no one can pronounce his name, and they
Yes.
call him like Pudanap Puputu.
And he has a girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend who he broke up with who broke up with him 8 years ago, who's a reporter. She's trying to find a big story, and her boss is trying to Harvey Weinstein her and keeps taking credits for her stories.
It's going someplace.
Have dinner with me tonight.
I can't.
It's your choice.
But then Godzilla comes to New York to lay eggs because he wants to start laying eggs. And then the military is trying to track down Godzilla. But then there's also a group of French people who complain about culinary things in America.
You got this coffee?
I call this America.
But they're trying to find Godzilla too because they bombed the Pacific, which is where Godzilla was born. They did nuclear tests there.
Yes, Godzilla's a mutated iguana.
Yes, Godzilla's a mutated iguana. They reimagined the look of Godzilla for this one. And Godzilla's a peaceful lizard who just wants to lay his eggs in Madison Square Garden, but the military keeps blowing up buildings trying to kill him. And then Matthew Broderick says, "You guys are being mean to Godzilla." And then an hour later he's like, "Carpet bomb Madison Square Garden
Wipe
so
the
we can
species
wipe
out of
the
existence."
species out of existence." He's like, "I care about new species. I care about people and I care about species. You wouldn't understand, ex-girlfriend, because you took my tape of Godzilla's footprints." Even though, who cares? Because everyone knows about Godzilla already, so I don't know why it's really still classified or matters.
Yeah, it wasn't like a big
But he got
secret.
fired off of the project, even though he was the only one who knew about Godzilla's babies. But then at the same time, it's like, why the fuck was Matthew Broderick there? And then you have Sam Witwicky's father from Transformers, but he's the military general.
And then the
And then
mayor and
there's-
the mayor's
yeah,
assistant are Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel.
Wait a minute, wait. Then how can it be pregnant? What is this, the virgin lizard?
No,
Classily made a year before Gene Siskel died. And
And the joke is that
joke is that they're stupid, even though they don't really play any characters. I mean, the characters are kind of similar. They're
they're
characters.
just
of them,
named
but
after them, and they
They're really
kind of
just
look
named
like them.
after them, and kind of
And they do the thumbs up, thumbs down thing, but otherwise it's just
Yes.
they're just the mayor and the,
And Roland
the
Emmerich
mayor's
owned Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel by making an amazing movie.
by getting really ass hurt. Yeah.
Yes. So Aiden, what were your thoughts on Godzilla 1998 by Roland Emmerich, starring Matthew Broderick, a remake of 1954's Godzilla by Yoshio Honda.
Ishiro Honda.
Ishiro Honda. And when is the Criterion being released?
Godzilla
That's my other question.
Godzilla 1998 is far too long. There's a good hour of this movie where it's Matthew Broderick digging up earthworms and talking about earthworms, and he's like, earthworms are fucking cool.
I'm happy again. Come on with the rain.
And the earthworms got slightly bigger from the radiation, and Godzilla's an iguana that got bigger from the radiation. And his girlfriend is getting Harvey Weinstein, and his girlfriend's friends are reporters, and they talk about stuff. Godzilla's design is whatever. I mean, I'm not offended by the direction they decided to take with Godzilla, but it's pretty blatantly obvious that
It was Jurassic Park fever.
this came out in 1998, so it probably started production in 1996, which was right when Jurassic Park was, Jurassic Park 3 was probably coming out around then. And Jurassic Park was like the biggest fucking hit of all time in 1991. Not the biggest, but like very close.
Yeah, it was a
And
big movie.
this movie feels a lot more like Jurassic Park than it does Godzilla. Like, Godzilla's just a T-Rex. And the Godzilla babies are just velociraptors. A lot of this movie, there's a lot of it where Godzilla runs around the city doing nothing, and the fucking military chases after him in helicopters and shoots him and shoots him and shoots him, shoots him and shoots him. The helicopters accidentally blow up some buildings and crash into buildings and get destroyed by Godzilla. And it's just like the movie's spinning its wheels up until Godzilla's fake out death. At which point the threat suddenly changes to Godzilla's babies. And the Godzilla's babies plot isn't much better because it's just like exactly like Jurassic Park where they're all trapped in the building with the velociraptors.
Right, that was a 8.
So it just like U-turns into that, and then after all the babies are dead, they bomb Madison Square Garden. And then all of a sudden Godzilla's back and chasing him around again, and they have this long chase scene where they have to lure out Godzilla. The movie's fucking...
So you're saying...
It's fucking exhausting.
So you're saying your criticism of this film is a synopsis of the plot.
Well, the point is...
fucking with you. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The point is, the movie is absurdly long and absurdly exhausting.
It's convoluted as hell.
And most of the time it just feels like the movie is spinning its wheels because it's like Godzilla shows up for 15 minutes. Not even. Godzilla shows up for 3 minutes. The military shoots at Godzilla. Godzilla escapes. And then everyone talks about Godzilla's probably still in the city somewhere and we have to find him. And then they stand around talking, and then they find him again. They shoot at him for 3 minutes.
For a 2.5 hour
It's
movie,
like,
there's also really not much of a plot.
yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot going on, but there's not a plot. There's not, like, Matthew Broderick as the protagonist. What is really his point?
I don't even know why the military wants him. He studies radioactive earthworms.
When you and I went to rallies together in college, we helped to create awareness. But now, from the inside, I'm able to affect real change.
And so they bring him in, which makes sense, and he's like, it's a radioactive iguana. And at that point, his job should be over. But for some reason, there's these, like, French secret agents. And the French secret agents are like, you need to come with us because you know everything about Godzilla. And then they just walk around in a tunnel and stumble across the eggs. Like, he doesn't do anything. Matthew Broderick's character does not do anything in the movie. He doesn't have a role. He's just kind of like the guy who's there.
He also doesn't do anything to really, like, reignite his romance. He's a creepy stalker.
He just sees the girl and she's like, wow, he still loves me after 8 years.
After 8 years after I broke up with him, he still has all these pictures posted up in his van.
He's a pathetic
8 years
loser.
Is a long fucking time.
Everyone treats fucking...
He's a fucking dweeb.
Everyone treats Matthew Broderick like a fucking...
hunk.
10 out of 10 hunk. Like there's some redhead lady who works with him who's like, you're the sexiest boy alive and I want to steal your boyish good look semen or whatever. It's really fucking weird.
It is weird.
And Matthew Broderick the whole time...
Like a geek. He studies earthworms, wears a stupid gay hat. And,
yeah, he wears like...
And I don't mean that
he wears
as
a
a friend
hat.
to all homosexuals, but it's a gay hat.
I can't believe it. I mean,
Your head looks fucking stupid.
His hat is like, it's a newsy cap, but it's got like the puffy chef cap look. It's really fucking ugly and he wears it the whole movie.
Yeah,
But
it's bad.
It's just like, the other thing, there's really awful humor throughout the whole movie. It's never funny. There is a lot of horny humor, like when he's like, Godzilla reproduces asexually and his girlfriend's like, what's the fun in that? And all that. But then there's also lots of just really stupid jokes. Obviously, there's the Siskel and Ebert Mayer couple who are just like sheer butthurtery from Roland Emmerich.
Yes.
But the other thing I'm thinking of is when he meets up with the French people all put gum in their mouth and they chew like this. They go, and then he's like, "Why are you chewing gum?" And he's like, "It makes us look American." And then they just like smack their lips.
What's with the chewing gum?
Makes us look more American.
Oh, really?
I don't know what
They
the
chew
joke
gum.
is.
The joke is that Americans chew gum. That's the joke.
And then they get pulled over by some military guy. And the
Is it that Americans are self-absorbed?
French
I don't get it.
the French guy, they get pulled over and the French guy talks like Elvis.
Oh, thank you very much. Elvis Presley movies.
I don't
Elvis
get it.
movies.
I don't get the joke. I don't get the joke, Roland. It doesn't make sense. It's not a joke. I don't understand. There's no punchline. There's no setup. It's just like he talks like Elvis and he chews gum weird because that's what Americans
It's such an
do.
exhausting fucking movie.
It's tiring. It wears you out.
It's so boring.
You have-
It's so exhausting.
It's literally just 90% of this movie is just people standing around talking about where Godzilla might be, and then they find Godzilla and scare him off. And then they talk about where it might be, and it just repeats over and over until eventually he just dies. The only good thing I can say, the movie's shot terrible. The CGI looks fucking horrendous.
Yeah.
The only good thing,
It's just age. I mean, it's like impressive for the time, but
It's not,
It's
though.
aged poorly.
if you look at the reviews for the time, everyone was
because
talking
it's
about how horrible they
overused.
looked.
It's overused. That's the issue. Is like a lot of CGI from that time looked like shit, but good filmmakers knew how to make more decent CGI and use less of it. Like Godzilla looks fine for the time most of the time, but they
Most
use
of
them
the time.
so much that you're just staring at this really fake effect, and the fucking frame rate is like different on Godzilla. I don't know how to describe
Yeah,
it.
there are some scenes
There's,
where
like,
Godzilla's
points where
like
it's, like-
running at
it's, like,
not
jumpy.
the correct frame rate. He is
It's like
half
jumpy.
speed.
It's weird.
Yeah,
It looks like the Incredible Bulk.
It is just such an exhausting movie. Really, the only thing, I thought the score was pretty good. Obviously, they don't bring back like the classic Godzilla theme. I don't know if that was like a rights thing or separation.
by it though.
But like the opening montage has this scene where they're showing like stock footage of nukes and like the little iguanas running around on the island, and there's this really cool and powerful opening theme to the movie that's like really, really good. And I was like, this music is impressive.
It used a lot of horns and
And-
stuff, and it reminded me of the original theme, but it felt like a reimagining of the original
Yeah, and
theme.
there was,
much
like,
like the idea of the film is a reimagining of
The opening
original.
theme had like opera vocals that were really, really good. So I thought the music was good. Every actor in this movie is fucking horrible,
It's some of the-
especially Matthew
There
Broderick.
isn't a good performance in this
Especially
movie.
Matthew Broderick.
I've never seen a Hollywood movie, a legitimate Hollywood movie, with worse acting.
Okay, stop. Stop the car right now. All right, now let me out of here.
Matthew Broderick, every single line he says is absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah.
There's not a single good line from him. Everyone in this movie is horrible, but
The
like,
best actor is
especially
probably Sam Witwicky's dad. That is an unironic. He's not a good actor, but
Yeah,
he's probably the
maybe.
best. He's the best actor
I can't think of anyone better.
Like picking my mind through like the core and supporting cast. I genuinely think out of like
Yeah, I
the
can't think of
primary
anyone
cast,
better.
I think he might be the best actor.
Maybe like the girlfriend's camera guy wasn't that awful. Yeah, no, everyone's saying terrible lines, but Matthew Broderick is not trying. It is awful. So yeah, the movie is unwatchable. Connor, what did you think of Godzilla 1998?
As a child, a small child, I mean, small, like 6 years old or something the first time I saw this. I was impressed by this film, and I expected to not find it to be the worst. I expected to find it bad, because I was a kid. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's probably bad now. It's a lot worse than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I don't hate the core idea of this movie. I'm not offended by redesigning Godzilla, trying to create Godzilla to be less of a I guess godly is a good way to describe it, or like a more of a
they made him more animalistic.
So he lays his eggs, he's nesting in New York. If you read the plot summary, there's kind of an interesting film there. So it actually kind of wanted to take the idea of Godzilla and remake it from a different perspective, like that 1954 movie, which I actually somewhat appreciate from a concept level. The execution is god-awful, and I don't even think, the concept design for that Godzilla is decent enough. I actually really don't hate how this Godzilla looks. It's very different from the normal Godzilla, but considering as an alternate reimagining of Godzilla, considering this as more of a reimagining than a direct remake or a direct sequel or something, I don't hate the idea. I don't even hate the idea of Godzilla being able to be shot down by missiles and shit. They wanted to make him more grounded, relatively.
It's more like, in the first movie, he's like a personification of ideas in the original Godzilla, and in this one, he's just like an animal that's been created by ecological impacts,
Right.
And there's an idea there that's goodish.
There's themes of that, too, where it's like, maybe man's the true bad guy, because Godzilla at first is being peaceful. He's just an animal who found a place. He doesn't really have anything against humans. He's a force of nature, but he's not necessarily evil. Any damage he creates is because he doesn't know better.
Yeah,
they're doing shit like the helicopters are shooting buildings and causing more damage, and they even outright say, you're causing more damage than the Godzilla. But then the problem is, once they carpet bomb his kids, then he just becomes a bad guy, kind of.
Well,
and we're supposed to be happy when Godzilla dies, which I think is kind of...
I don't think the idea of that is bad. Like, it's like the animal instincts kick in to protect the young, and after they're killed, it tries to seek vengeance. I don't hate that idea.
Here's the problem. Once Godzilla dies, everyone, including Matthew Broderick, celebrates.
Thank you for your help, my friend.
Well, wait, hello?
Yeah.
What they should have done is they should have had kind of like a King Kong-esque ending, where if you look at the original movie, he's kind of sad. He's like, well, beauty killed the beast.
Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast. Beauty killed the beast.
I mean, granted, that guy was a sleazebag asshole, but Matthew Broderick's arc naturally would see him come at the end and say, unfortunately, Godzilla didn't really deserve this, but everyone's just fucking celebrating.
Yeah, everyone's
killed
happy.
The evil monster.
The conclusion should be, we accidentally brought this life into the world, and because we couldn't coexist with it, we had to destroy it. But the actual arc is, we brought this thing into the world, and we have to kill it because it's smashing some buildings on accident, and we're assholes.
Yes, and everyone's happy about it when it dies, because they just kind of forgot the message. Like, they actually had an interesting reimagining, and I feel like in the hands of a different director, you almost have a pretty good concept. I mean, you look at something like Legendary's series of American Godzillas, and it's very much one for one with Toho's series. I mean, not exactly.
It touches on similar ideas, and this one does not.
It's a lot more... It's not... Legendary's series is adapting Godzilla for the American audience, where TriStar is a kind of a rare form of a remake where it's a full-on reimagining. I mean, a comparison would be something like The Thing versus The Thing from Another World, or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original versus the modern.
For sure.
It takes the core idea of the plot and reimagines it in a contemporary setting.
Yeah.
Another example, Scarface and Scarface, the original Scarface versus the
Mummy and the Brendan Fraser Mummy and the 2016 Mummy.
I mean, not calling either of the mummies a remake. Like, none of the, I mean, they all are mummy movies made by Universal. That's where the comparisons end. But, yes, you get my idea. The problem is Roland Emmerich is a terrible director.
Yep.
He got terrible actors.
Yep.
He was so ass-hurt he couldn't help but take jabs at Siskel and Ebert, which are just obvious to anyone who knows who they are. And especially, like, if you show a kid this nowadays, that would fly over their heads.
But at the time, it would be...
In 1998, Siskel and Ebert were the biggest movie reviewers for fucking 25 years at that point.
What did you think about Mayor Ebert and his sidekick, Gene?
I thought that seemed petty.
Yeah, I did too.
It does seem petty, Roger. I mean, I was used as a villain in another picture called The Ref, and Siskel was the name of the villain. And, you know, it's such a distinctive name, an odd name, that, you know, audiences are thinking, well, all right, when's Ebert going to show up? Now, you shouldn't be thinking about that during a picture.
Yeah, the only good thing about Mayor Ebert and his sidekick was that at least Godzilla didn't step on it.
Well, but Roger, I fully expected that to happen. And I think the audience is waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, maybe they should have included that.
Again,
bring him on stage, at least squish him, right?
Exactly. There are missing scenes.
These were due to, at the time, were fucking... They had
TV shows,
long-running TV show on fucking, like,
they were columnists since like the 60s.
They had a TV show that ran from like 75 to like right up till Siskel's death in like 1999.
Well, even after that,
25
Ebert fucking kept going.
Yeah, he did. So this, at the time that this came out, there had been a 25-year, incredibly popular TV show about these guys that aired on, I assume, like NBC or something. Like, it wasn't cable, it was playing in the fucking 70s on the 3 available channels at the time.
Right.
Everyone knew who these people were, and Roland Emmerich was so ass-hurt that he's like, I need to make fun of these guys in my movie.
I need to blatantly throw them in this movie.
And then he made this horrible dumpster fire.
Right, and then it seems like it's supposed to be like a fuck you, here's my masterpiece. And then it was a fucking horrible movie. And the problem is, first off, Matthew Broderick, obviously he lost track of the arc, but Matthew Broderick sucks as an actor. And he sucks in this role. And his dialogue is trash, but he always sounds confused, geeky, and weird, and his wardrobe backs that up. Matthew Broderick's stupid-ass face backs that up. And then you have all these girls being like, I want to suck that Chad's dick till he comes. And then he's a fucking pervert, too, because he has his weird fucking shrine of his ex-girlfriend who broke up with him 8 years ago.
Yeah, and he's always
a fucking freak. He's not likable.
No, he's a fucking weirdo. He fucking... The first scene we're introduced to him,
stupid bitch.
The first scene we're introduced to Matthew Broderick, he's like mashing around in the dirt and eating worms, and the military comes up
and really poorly singing
in
the rain for 3 minutes. Terrible.
Matthew Broderick, his character is just like horrifically unlikable and boring because all he ever does, someone's like, "What do we do about this Godzilla?" And he's like, actually, Godzilla is an iguana." And everyone's like, wow, you're so smart and I want to suck your cock. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it feels like, honestly, like, if you give the idea for this script, like, this movie's a really good idea. And I know Steven Spielberg did Jurassic Park, so this might be kind of weird to say, but if you give the concept of this movie to, like, a Steven Spielberg, or, I'm trying to think... I mean, I guess this would be a more modern example.
I would think...
If, like, Guillermo del Toro made this concept today...
James Cameron,
that's another good one.
I think would be a good choice.
Yeah, someone like that. Like, someone with a fucking vision. Michael Bay probably would have done it better. Not that it would have been good if Michael Bay did it.
It would have been cooler if Michael Bay
I
did
genuinely
it.
think Roland Emmerich was literally the worst choice for a director for this movie.
It's the worst choice for a director for any movie.
Also, I don't understand why the aesthetic choice was midday overcast rain the whole time.
Hello.
How's it going?
That was an interesting vibe to pick for the movie. I thought it was kind of unique and cool, the overcast rain idea, since no one else is willing to do that. If a lot of movies did that, it would look like shit.
You know what I just remembered?
But I thought it was kind of cool. It kind of casted New York in a depressing light. But
one of the absolute stupidest things in the movie, they have these like little computer bleep things that come up, like little subtitles that tell you where you are.
Oh,
and there's
those.
one in the middle of the movie when they get to New York, and instead of saying New York or New York City, it pops up, and there's like this digital, there's like this slow green digital thing. It's supposed to look futuristic. It's like beep boop boop boop, the city that never sleeps, and it's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. I literally threw up my arms and I said, why? Why don't just call it New York? It's just so weird. It's such a weird movie.
This movie is so bafflingly bad. And the thing is, like, what I think pisses me off the most is this is legitimately a fucking terrible movie. Like, this is
so fucking
this
bad.
is up there. This is in the top 100 worst movies I've ever seen. But the thing that pisses me off the most is I actually like the concept. I don't mind a lot of the design work. And there's some ideas with the cinematography I like. It's just once you put all the characters in there, all of them are bad. The directing choices are bad. A lot of the embellishments are bad. But you have like the visual effects, which for the time, if there was more restraint, would have been pretty good, you know. Cast, maybe, like the parts at night, Godzilla looks pretty good, because like you can, at night, or in the rain and the fog, which is why I'm guessing the rain was there, you can kind of conceal bad special effects better. What they should have done is perhaps make it a little foggier because of the rain to conceal the effects a bit more. There was a lot of it just honestly what it mostly boils down to is the pacing's bad because it's a bloated 2.5 hour movie. The characters are bad, and the message loses itself after an hour in. And if he was able to change the characters completely, show more restraint, trim down the movie, you probably have a better movie. Like, in my eyes, I liked your idea with James Cameron, but like a James Cameron, a Steven Spielberg, a Ridley Scott maybe, kind of like that era of people.
90s Ridley Scott was kind of going a little crazy, but it could work. It could work. I could see.
But Ridley Scott always shoots a really good movie. He knows how to shoot it with restraint. Even Ridley Scott's bad movies like Alien Covenant.
Oh, did you really finally watch Alien Covenant?
Yeah, I watched Alien Covenant, and it's a bad fucking movie that looks really good. Like, and I don't even think Ridley Scott's bad at directing actors. It was just Alien Covenant was a really bad script. That was the main problem.
Alien Covenant.
There's a lot of issues with it. But I've never seen a Ridley Scott movie I thought was ugly.
No.
And I think like James Cameron or Ridley Scott, someone who can keep their mind on the vision, direct actors.
Well, Ridley Scott
pick good actors.
The reason I thought of James Cameron is because James Cameron also was a special effects guy when he started, which would lend itself well to the whole
Ridley Scott.
Special
1998 might have been a little early for Ridley Scott. I mean, first off, he was doing Titanic, but that movie was very practical. The problem with James Cameron, like post-Titanic, is like he gets such a boner for special effects, hence like Avatar, and you definitely couldn't pull off Godzilla at that time.
He got the fucking bonkers ego at the time, but
I mean, a lot of people went that route. You look at like him, George Lucas, kind of both went that same route where it became like for them like those people who were pioneers in old Hollywood kind of either went special effects crazy or they decapitated a bunch of kids in a helicopter if you're John Landis. But yes,
John, how do I land?
I think a lot of people, from that new Hollywood era could do a good job. I wouldn't want to see Francis Ford Coppola do this, but I think like someone like a Steven Spielberg, a James Cameron, or Ridley Scott in the right conditions could have done a really decent movie here. But unfortunately, it was Roland Emmerich who ended up with the project, and it was shit.